I really got that final confirmation that that's the writing right there. With, let's say 80% of the laughs that we got, that is just the writing.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I would say the majority is just because of the writing.
I think over the course of the 2 weeks that you do the show, you'll find that different jokes get different laughs.
Yeah.
Which means it's not the writing. It's the audience and it's the delivery.
It's the writing.
No, because the writing is always there. The writing is the one constant. And if the laughs are coming and going, it's not just the writing. It's the way the actors are delivering the lines, it's the pause, and it's the way the audience is interpreting the line and the pause. What inspired me to write Whiteout was a tricky thing to answer because the inspiration comes from wherever, right? It comes from a million different places. What really happened was I decided to write something I'd never written before. When I write my other stuff, my books, I like to genre hop, so I've done all kinds of different things, and I've never really done the same thing twice. And I thought, I've never done a play. I do plays, I direct, I act, whatever, but I've never written one. So I decided I need to write a play. That's the next stage. Let's see what happens. And so then I thought, okay, a comedy should be easier. That was probably a mistake, but that we'll do that. What are some of the classic tropes I can play with? And the idea of amnesia and mistaken identity, these kind of classic dysfunctional family things all came together. And from there, Whiteout was built. It was kind of a building blocks, how to build a play, and then it happened, as opposed to, I have an idea, let's write a play about that. So it's kind of a backwards way, I guess. I don't even know if I'd use the word inspiration, but I mean, it came from somewhere, I guess. I think the thing about Christmas and holidays that makes for such great dysfunctional theater or storytelling in general is not the holiday or anything in itself. It's just that that's the time when families come together and friends come together. And when that happens, everything goes to pieces, right? That's Christmas. Christmas is the best of times and the worst of times, and all the old stuff gets unburied, and grandma, complains about the thing that happens 20 years ago and all that kind of thing. So I think it's not necessarily the fact that it's Christmas that creates this dysfunctional comedy theater. It's just the fact that at the holidays, that's when people gather together. And when people gather together, there's conflict, and where there's conflict, there's comedy. I have published 6 books before I did the play. 3 of them are a young adult fantasy trilogy. One of them is a short story collection, very eclectic. None of the stories have anything to do with anything. There's no theme or anything. It's just a mess of stuff. And then the other 2 are a contemporary mystery comedy and a new adult new fiction comedy. And then the play, and then future projects on the go. There's a big difference between writing a novel and writing a play, I find, and each of them presents their own challenges. When you write a play, I've discovered the author's input is minimal in a way, because you're writing just the dialogue and a little bit of stage direction, or they have to move here and the set does this or something. But for the most part, you're just giving words that they're going to say, and the rest is up to them in an interpretation with the director and the actors. So that's challenging to kind of hold back and allow there to be space to play in. With a novel, the challenge is that you have to do everything. You're doing the dialogue, and you're doing the narration, and you're doing the description of where you are and what things look like, and the inner monologue of the characters and how they feel. So it's a lot more work to do a novel, and it takes more out of you because you're giving the reader a completely gift-wrapped package. And with a play, you kind of have to pull back and give them just enough so that the actors and the director can take it the rest of the way, and then allow the audience who are going to interpret it their own way as well. So there's kind of levels of interpretation, where with a book, there's just the writer and the reader, and that's it. I think I would describe Jacob, certainly in the way that I originally imagined the character, as disenchanted. He's a little bit broken. He's lived his life, he's gone through good times and bad times, and we're kind of meeting him at one of the low points of that life. And so, when we meet him, he's not in the best of places, and his family knows that, and so they come to try to cheer him up, and that has all sorts of consequences, which hopefully make for good comedy. It's really exciting to see my debut play come to life on stage. This is the first time anything that I've done has been seen through eyes besides my own, or a reader's, which I never really hear back from. So even to come here and walk in and see the set for the first time, which is a reimagining of what was in my head, which is basic, and Yeah, so to see that interpretation. And when I came here, one of the things I was most excited about and most looking forward to was just being surprised by everything, by the characterizations, by the actors, and by the set, and by, I was really hoping to not see what I saw in my head when I wrote it, because every production after this, wherever it's done, is going to be an interpretation. It's going to be its own version of the play. And even though the words are the same, they're all my words, it is a completely different production in essence. So what I really wanted here was to be surprised. And so far, I've only seen bits and pieces, but I think they've achieved that. So I'm really excited to see it all get put together. My next project is actually a number of next projects, because I always have more than one thing on the go. So I do have another play in the works that's in the middle of the workshopping phase right now, and we'll see what comes of that. It's a drama. It's quite dark and different than Whiteout is. And then I've got a book coming out next month, which is the next in the series that I was writing. And I've got another book that's being written right now, and I've got another book that I'm doing production work on. So I've got at least 4 projects on the go. The emotion I'd like the audience to leave the show with, I think, is contentment. The characters in the play have their ups and downs, and there's dramatic moments and comedic moments. But I think in the end, it's a story about family, and it's a story about relationships and about Christmas. And I want them to leave on a note of like, you know, if that can be the sound that happens just before the applause at the end, I will be a happy writer.
Hard, and no one wants to help me.
Tell me about your childhood, though, Stephen. That's what I want to know.
I used to play a lot of t-ball when I was a kid, but I wasn't that good.